All right. Let's talk a little bit about where we ended up yesterday and how you were feeling by the end of yesterday. What work have you done since then, if any?
I
Nothing.
can jump in quick. I have got my three levels or tiers: it's low, medium, and high ticket. I also did the prompt that you had put in the school this morning, which I found was
Hmm.
really interesting. I actually posted it in the school so you could take a look. So it was
Oh,
a
cool. Okay.
hierarchy of needs, which I thought was really interesting. So I got a bit sidetracked going that way. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited to see what today has to bring. But it's definitely yesterday's um, conversation. I actually went to my husband, who's my business partner. I was like, okay, now let me do it for you, and
Uh-huh.
he was like, holy shit, okay. So yeah, so I think that was very eye opening as well.
Good. Good. Did it was it confidence eye-opening for you or what was clarified for you?
Yeah, I think it was the confidence because, I've always said that if I could get somebody in front of me and have a conversation with them, I know and believe in everything I do. I
Yeah.
truly believe that.
Yes.
But for me, because we have been 99%, my business has been 99% referrals, which of course is amazing. I love that so much. Being online, it's very noisy, and I'm like, who's going to listen to me? So I've been having some struggles there. So I wouldn't
Mhm.
say it's confidence in what I do. It's more confidence in, and I just did Jason's visibility, where that's where I think it is. I think it's confidence in visibility, authority, because if you look at my Instagram, there's not that many. I literally just started LinkedIn because we have been referral based for so long that I'm
Mhm.
slowly starting to build. And so that's really where my confidence hits. It's like, is my TikTok any good? Like, do I do things on LinkedIn that's okay? But with all the things from branding to this course to just trying to get as much information in, I'm feeling much clearer. And I definitely feel like what I'm writing, I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to get across. So that's been really good.
Well, I want to just compliment you. Jason's new podcast, Jason, if you have the link, drop it in the chat at some point. It's called Sales Assassins, and it's really all the things about referrals and word of mouth marketing. And for years, when I came in, that's how all of my businesses were run before I became a coach. And I thought there was something wrong with that when I came in the online space. And I really realized that that's the harder thing to do than online like marketing tactics. So if you already have that down, you can take those skills and translate them into the online space as long as you don't get in the shiny object thing of feeling like you're doing something wrong. It's all about meeting the right people, having, this closer network of between 20 and 50 people who refer business to you. And I think getting you to the point where you know that that's the way you're going to really be successful. And the online space is just the place where, somebody goes to my LinkedIn profile and they look and they're like, oh yeah, she's legit. Like, cool, awesome. And it's more of a they've already met me, they've already talked to me, they already like me. Then they go look at social and they're like, oh, social proof, testimonials, people say nice things. She's posting on there regularly. She's legit.
Right. And that actually feels so much better to me anyway, and it
No.
always has. So
Yeah.
then when I had my coach last year, she's like, go into groups and DM people, and I'm like, I don't want to. So
Yeah.
I've really been trying to. I mean, I shied away from that particularly, but now that I'm kind of getting here, it's like, yeah, it is about the referrals. It's finding the referral partners, and I love that so much more. So I'm feeling that really, really well.
Awesome. Awesome. Elsa, how are you feeling since yesterday?
I'm feeling good. I'm sitting here thinking, what was that Jason visibility thing that I missed? So that's like my problem. It's like, did I miss anything? So I totally get the this shiny object. So thank you for sending over the workbook. I'm actually going back and starting to try to do the whole exercise again to really figure out and make modifications. But I do feel that it's very much coming
Mm.
into a point and just trying again not to get myself pulled in a million direction, and
Yes.
thinking that I think that that's the biggest thing. I hear what you were saying, Lindsay, because it's like we just throw it out there and we don't know if anybody is listening. And I think that that's, for at least for me, it's like I'm not good at chit chat and DMs. I'm like, okay, let's get to the point. So that is definitely something that for social media, my biggest challenge is keep saying the same thing over and over and over again, just with a little bit of different flavor, and just not disconnecting myself from that. That is what I have to do instead of talking about 50 different things. It's better to talk about the 5 things. So for me, getting over myself of wanting to diversify my message, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hard for me as well. And that's where AI can really help you. If you have a blog post, for example, or a video you want to promote, a podcast episode, you can literally take that topic and put it into ChatGPT and say, give me 20 different ways to say this. And that way you're promoting that same video or same episode 20 different times across your different platforms, 20 different ways. You say it 20 different ways. And I was like, oh, I don't have to make up 20 different pieces of content. It's just different ways of saying the same thing. I like that. And I also like your realization based on what you do, and this is most of us in this room, that our highest fee clients are going to come from meeting us, not from anything we post on social media. It's the social medias for after they've met us. And that frame is really, really important when you are going out into the world and thinking about what you do. Or are you going to, spend time on social media? I mean, that's important, but more than an hour a day is not necessary. I mean, and I have it down to about 20 minutes that I spend. The posts are scheduled. I spend about 20 minutes checking comments or DMs, and that's it. And if I'm away on vacation for a week, the privilege of not looking at social media while I'm on vacation, that's worth it to me. Martine, how are you feeling since yesterday? Good?
Awesome. I'm
Awesome.
feeling great. Yes, thank you.
All right. How about you, Jason?
Really good. Lots to do.
Awesome. I put a cheat sheet in the chat. It's just all the prompts from this week. So if you don't want the whole workbook, just the prompts in order, save that so you can reuse it for something else in the future. And
it's not giving me access. So I
oh,
just requested access.
yeah, I just request access. Perfect. Do you want it now? Okay, hold on.
I usually open it so I don't forget to save the chat.
I know, right?
Yeah, I'm getting the same thing, so I'm gonna.
Okay.
And then you said that you had sent 3 prompts, Suzanne. Was that to me? I haven't seen those. Was that in the?
Yes, in the email.
I didn't see it. It's weird.
They were down the bottom of the email, so
Oh, okay.
maybe you just didn't scroll down far enough.
Okay, I'll look.
Okay. If not, let me know. Just shoot me a text. Okay, there. Everybody's got access now. Little secret Jason taught me: when you're sharing a Google document with people, like in this environment, to make it so that they have to request access and you have a list of everybody that looked at the document. Yay. I totally geeked out on that one, Jason. Okay. So today we're going to talk about, oh yeah, go ahead, Elsa.
May I ask just one question in follow-up to you said about repurposing things?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I have an article coming out. I'm not quite, I think it's for the November, December issue of a trade magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, because that is totally into my ideal client portfolio. And so I was thinking about using that content to make social media posts, does it distract that post is not on my own platform?
No, make the post on your own platform, 2 or 3 paragraphs with maybe a picture of that magazine and put the link to the article in the first comment. That way the post is not dragging people off, but if they want to read more, it's there in the comments. Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so today we are going to dive into the confidence as we bring all of these things together, the offer, the bonuses, the naming, and all of that. We want to talk about what it takes to confidently sell that thing. So when you have a premium offer, and I defined premium as over $5,000, when you add massive value to that bonus, like one-on-one time or some extra thing, now it's time to learn how to sell that more confidently. And I pride myself on never overcoming objections with people. I'm not going to fight with you about whether you have the money or pressure you to feel like you can afford working with me. That never turns out well, in my opinion. I don't want somebody to do that to me, so I'm not going to do that to somebody. But you can learn to pivot, get to know you conversations into somebody, the other person leaning in and saying, ooh, how do I get that? And Martine did this with me. And Martine, do you remember when I was telling you about my 8-week program? And this is classic. And I didn't do it on purpose. It's just I'm so passionate about what I do and the way I describe what I do. I was telling him, coach, this is what I'm working on, after he told me what he was working on. And I told him, and he was like, is it too late for me to get in on that? And that's what you want.
It was classic.
It was classic.
It was good. It was like we just called to catch up. Like we were like texting and like catching up, and then you just started sharing about that thing, and I'm sitting here going like, I want to do that. Can I get in?
Yeah. And that's what you want. And I know this works for me so often because I'm excited about what I do, but also I remember when I learned emotional intelligence from that PQ program that you see online. And I was telling somebody about doing it and what happened to me when I did it. And I was just telling them to tell them. And she looked at me and she said, I need that. How do I do that? I want empty space. I want blank thinking time. I want to get rid of that negative voice in my head. And I sent her the thing to do it. But that's when it dawned on me. Oh, I'm more successful selling something that I've actually done myself. I've been through it. I've created it based on the work that I've done on myself. So I want you to all look at what you're creating and how you fit into it as your own ideal client. And if you are the ideal client, you get to talk about what you do with more authority because you've been through it. You created it, you've been through it, it worked for you, and now you're sharing it with other people from that frame. The second is learning to pivot into from a get to know you call. I had a podcast guest this morning who, as soon as the recording ended, he's like, do you have a few minutes? I have a couple questions about a post you wrote about creating offers, and I'm a little stuck on something. Why, yes, I have time. And he's already messaged me twice, and we're going back and forth about what he's working on. And the transition to client, I do it a little bit different. I offer a coaching session, and then, I offer a conversation coaching session, and then I would offer working with me. But it still started from an authentic conversation. Get to know you calls. How many of you are currently doing them? Okay. Here's your rules for doing get to know you calls. The other person always goes first. And if they don't describe what they do in a clear, concise way, ask a couple questions just to clarify your ideal client is what? Just to clarify how you work with people is what? You have 2 programs, 3 programs, I always take notes, but ask those questions because immediately the other person who's not saying those things, not telling you their ideal client, not telling you their referral partner, not telling you their program, what does it do in the conversation? Puts you in a place of authority, like, oh shit, this person knows what they're doing. Like, oh my God, Charlotte really knows how to carry herself in these conversations. She asked great questions. I had no idea what my ideal client was, and she's asking me, well, I need to know that. And it immediately puts you in the driver's seat in the conversation because 95% of people don't know how to do that. So if you know how to do it and you present yourself that way, you're immediately the authority in the room, which I love that. Doesn't mean you're a jerk about it. It means you're curious. Who's your ideal client? If they don't know, well, they might be my ideal client, but you get to be in that position of teacher, shower. This is how I normally run these calls. Is that okay? Cool. Now, next, if and when it's your turn, if you can describe what you do in a way that goes with what they do. Describe what you do in a way that goes with what they do. And I'll use Jason as an example. So he's a visibility coach, podcast producer, and I would let him go first. And then I would describe who I help and how I help them by saying something along the lines of, Jason, I typically work with entrepreneurs who are at the middle to higher income ranges, typically over $200,000. And they're looking to reinvent themselves, extract their intellectual property. How many of your clients have that issue? And he might say, oh, yeah, I run into that once in a while. So immediately, because I know we have the same ideal client, I'm creating a referral relationship right away, showing him how I can help his clients with what I do, rather than just saying, I'm a business coach for entrepreneurs. I'm interweaving what I do so it's more valuable for him. Make sense? Awesome. Now, if your clients aren't on social media, how are we going to do this? How are we going to have these confident conversations if we're not going to start relationships on social media? That's where you're going to lean into who you already know and make a list of who you already know. Right now, pick up your phones and open your contacts and just start with the A's right at the beginning. And I want you to start scrolling. I make it 6 names and I come to somebody. And when you get to the first person, ask yourself, do I have rapport with that person? Do I have something of value that would make their lives better? And can they afford what I'm selling? And if the answer is yes to all 3 of those questions, text that person. They're in your phone. text that person. And I have so many people in my phone. Every single client I've ever had is in my phone. Connections who I've hit it off with in my phone. I have 4 of Denise's clients in my phone. I have right here in the A's a man who designed a software that Denise is using in her business with her clients. I haven't talked to him in 2 years. So all of those people could lead to a client, a referral, and maybe they are your client. So if you don't do that often enough, it should be a regular piece of lead generation or relationship cultivation right there. Get in the habit of putting people in your phone when you meet them, especially if you hit it off with them. Especially if you're vibing, your personalities get along, that person is more likely to refer business to you. And I made a post today on Facebook about how social media is it's getting worse and worse with AI and the robots and automation. And it's entirely possible now to have Facebook and look like you're active on it, and it's never you. I was listening to a podcast today that said the posts he does are automated. The comments are responded to by another robot. He comments on all his friends' posts with another robot. He DMs all of his friends and his group members with another robot. And all of those people are leads for him. And I thought, I can't compete with that. I'm not doing that. So if you're not willing to do all of that hands off, my prediction for the future is the way I'm proposing you to do business, it's going to become more and more rare because everybody's leaning on these automated tools. So it makes relationships more valuable, ridiculously more valuable. It makes a coaching conversation with a real person 10 times more valuable. All right, so we got the phone.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
if there is so much that's automated, you're having some kind of introduction dialogue, reach out to someone in DM. Should you make an error on purpose? Is there anything you should do to let them know you're an authentic, real person sending this message, not a bot?
Well, you're going to get lots of those bot messages, and there's an easy way to tell if you're talking to a real person or not.
Okay.
Ask a question that's out of context.
Okay.
That's what I do. I typically, if I can't tell, I ask a question about a post they made 3 days ago, or how old are your kids, or, just something that's totally out of context of what we're talking about.
But if we're the ones reaching out to them, is there anything we should do to let them know there's a real person behind it?
Yeah, say something personal.
Okay.
Say something, your conversation with so-and-so on this podcast really resonated with me.
Okay.
Or your article in Forbes magazine 3 weeks ago about blah, blah, blah really hit home for me. I would love to talk about it. So again, it's more touches, more research is needed. You can't just blindly send a friend request to 50 people and expect to get a client out of it. Those days are long over. So everybody goes in your phone, routinely scroll through the phone and see, who you haven't talked to in a while, who needs reconnection, who needs a thinking of you text. And it has to be genuine. It has to be. It can't be, oh, I'm texting Jason thinking of you because I want to land a deal, really, because I'm following up with him. No, it has to be because you're maintaining your network of people and they're a cool person. So there has to be the energy behind it that's not, I'm just not reaching out to Martine because I want him to be a client. And some of that is an energy thing that people will feel even through a message. Now, have I been accused of marketing to somebody who I reached out to? Yes, it happened once, only once in all these years. I said, hey, how are you? Long time no see on Facebook. And he said, stop marketing to me. Leave me alone. Now, he's a little left of center anyway, but still, it's only ever happened to me once where somebody was like, don't say hi to me. So get comfortable doing that. And if it's from here, it's way more authentic than if it's on Facebook or LinkedIn or other social media. Go ahead, Elsa.
I got one like you did and it was so hypocritical. It was the woman that I knew had only reached out to me because she wanted to sell to me.
Uh-huh.
But it's really, but to prove your point, it is like this morning, I was scrolling through Facebook and a friend of mine, she had just reposted a message that I realized was a totally fake message about a missing child.
Oh, mm-hmm.
So I just texted back to her and says, hey, I went a little deeper on the train here. I think you reposted somebody who's just out there doing, it was just terrible, right? It's like, and I looked at this guy, he was, anyway, she said, oh, I didn't even know. And we were talking about, oh, it's so bad about blah, 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 that people do this. And then she's a realtor in my neighborhood. He says, I'm looking for a couple of houses to sell. If you hear of anybody, let me know. And so first I just wrote to her, sure, I'll keep you in mind. And then I thought, dang, she's a realtor. I said, hey, I'm launching a new program. It does XXX, and, imposter syndrome, blah, blah, blah. Do you know that maybe your broker would be interested in? She said, let's meet and talk more details. Everybody is needing that right now. So
yeah,
it was just sort of funny because I didn't do it from that. Oh, I want to buy from you.
Right. And think about if you give a free workshop to a room full of realtors and getting over imposter syndrome would help them all make more money. That's a very captive audience.
It is. And I was thinking about the positive intelligence program there because that's so easy to deliver.
Okay. So here's our next mindset shift. I want you to have those outcomes we worked on, the transformation idea. Review that every time you're going to get on a call with somebody. Review it every time you're going to start messaging people on a platform. I have a list, a search list of people I want to reach out to on LinkedIn. I do maybe 5 of those a day. And every time I get myself in the energy of what my transformation is and talk from that perspective. When you do that, people are more apt to be interested in what you're doing. If it's in person, so for Chris, Elsa, Martine, clients are everywhere. And they're there for you to create them. In line at Starbucks. I met a client at Michael's, at the craft store, shopping for calendar pages. We were looking at the same refills for our calendar. And we started talking. My son was with me. He was like 3. and he's rolling his eyes like, oh God, mom's talking to strangers again. And sure enough, she handed me her card and said, I need to hire someone like you. Awesome. So there's a benefit from talking to people around you because other people don't do it. I talk to every person in front of me in line at the grocery store or in back of me. I'm nice to old people. I talk to the barista at Starbucks. She knows my name. There's advantages to that. And it's great practice for once a client is in front of you. If you have a local Starbucks, there's typically a group of older men that meet there in the morning having coffee together. Infiltrate that coffee clutch. It'll be the best thing you ever did for your business. Every Starbucks typically, and I don't know, it's like a secret society of retired old rich men, and they get together and have coffee and talk business. And I noticed this at my Starbucks, and one of the men has my car that I will have in the future. And it was parked right out front one day. And I decided I'm going to walk up to the table. And I said, whose little white number is that out in the parking lot? And I knew who it was. And the guy said, well, that's mine. I'm like, if you ever need somebody to babysit that for you, I'd be more than happy. And he said, here you go. Take it for a spin. And I was like, no. It's totally fine. I notice it and it's really pretty and just wanted to say. And he's like, well, we see you here every day. Are you ever going to sit down and talk to us? I didn't think girls were allowed at the table. And now I talk to them every time I go. They all own a business in my town, every single one of them. A jeweler, a car repair place, a realtor who owns a brokerage, a mortgage guy, and a restaurant, all in my town. And I've never would have talked to them, but I use the car to break the ice. So just find your thing and break the ice that way. And the more you do that, so the more you'll get comfortable doing it in the online space is simple. If you can do it in person, the online space is simple. Okay, next step is to really get comfortable being more magnetic, more charismatic. What does that mean? Open body language is number one, and you have to be the person who you would want to hire. If you were going to hire somebody who does what you do, who would you hire? I know who I would hire. Somebody more confident than me, more outgoing than me, more sure of her pricing than me. That's my mentor, Mary. Unbelievable what she does. I'm still in awe all the time. And that's who you have to become in order for people to hire you. And how we're going to do that. So there is a prompt for ChatGPT that I made up myself. I'm going to put it in the chat for you. It's also on your cheat sheet. But what I love about this one is that it's a magnetic marketing message that speaks to the transformation that you provide. The rabbit hole of this marketing message that you can get to a place where you come up with wording or something different to say that's attractive to other people. Maybe that'll resonate better with your ideal clients. So give that one a try. And creating urgency. We talked the other day, I think it was on Tuesday, that people buy sexy things, money-making things, or I can't even remember what the other one was, right? They buy sexy things, money-making things, or things that make them look good. And that's pretty much it. So your transformation has to feed into one of those human desires. Why are community offers so successful? Does anybody know? If you create community with your offer, if it's a group or a networking,
People want to belong. People
yes,
want to belong.
yes. One of the top human fears that's ingrained in our DNA is being made fun of and kicked out of the tribe. We want to fit in. We want to be included. So if you have that, if you have a community feature, even if it's just a group of all your clients that gets together once a month, that community feature brings people together. Exclusivity, yes. So for those of you that your clients aren't on social media, exclusivity is key. A higher price is key because I only work with 5 clients at a time. I'm very high touch. I'm always there for my one-on-one clients. And therefore, I only take 5 at a time. And just get used to that. Just get used to that feeling of exclusivity. Because Chris, if your coaching program's $100,000, do you need more than 5 clients? No. So I think baked in exclusivity is really attractive. And our last sales strategy for today is there's nothing worse than cold calling. There's nothing worse than, sending out 100 pathetic DMs. It doesn't work. It does not work. Not in our fields. So there's one way that you can get people in the room with you or listening to you. That's video and events. Video and events. So video on social media, let them hear you talk, let them see your body language, let them hear your opinions. I read my belief statements to Chris today when we were talking earlier, and he heard how his YOS is in my belief statements. He heard the confidence in my belief statements. And don't be afraid to say them, talk about them. What do you believe? Take a stand for or against something. So part of your transformation that you're offering your clients, take a stand for it or take a stand against something else. I take a stand against McDonald's and junk food. That's from way back when I was a health coach, and standing in that has been difficult with a child whose friends all eat junk food like that. My husband and son just left for 3 days. Can you believe it? I'm home by myself for 3 days. It's gonna be like heaven. But anyway, they just left, and I heard my son get into the garage with my husband and say, "Are we stopping at McDonald's so mom won't know?" And I'm like, "Mom knows everything." Yeah, they thought they were going to get away with having McDonald's. No.
So will your husband take him there?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. My husband eats McDonald's too. Totally fine. But I take a stand against that. And I've always done well with being a little polarizing or a little bold in those statements. And you have to find your comfort level with that. But creating an event is really the way to get people in the room with you. So the videos on social media, don't be afraid to show your face. And then getting people, even if it's just a private invite to an event, and you only have 3 people there for a conversation. My very first coach conversations, I only had 7 people. 7 coaches came for that conversation about pricing. And they all loved it and said, "Are you going to do this again next month?" I said, "Sure. What do you want to talk about?" And that's how I grew that group. So this is key. Do the group for your ideal clients, not for you. It's for them. Get them talking. You will learn more than anything you could ever dream of. They'll talk about their problems, they'll talk about their issues. Maybe you can solve some of them. Maybe it just gives you ideas like, holy crap, I didn't know that was a thing. Martine.
So thank you. You got me buzzing like you always get me
I know.
buzzing. So I've taken basically a 2-day class, turned it into a 1-day class, turned it into a 3.5-hour class, and now I've got it down to 2.5 hours. And just listen to what you're saying. Maybe what I could do is if I do it as a shorter class, I could probably get people excited about what I teach. As you know, curiosity theory is tied into emotional intelligence. So it's a lot about like the positive intelligence that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I could do, so I'm trying to, can you brainstorm with me here? So I'm looking at like LinkedIn because I'm going after LinkedIn right now. So would I want to do something really effective? Like I'm doing a free class next week on emotional intelligence, like an hour class, a 40-minute class, a 30. How should I do that? How would you
Well,
suggest
I
that I
would
do
say
something like that?
with so many people doing classes and workshops that are talking at people, brainstorm a way to get your ideal clients in a conversation about a topic. So it's not you standing on the stage talking, it's you facilitating a conversation where problem solutions come up. You know, people love to interact with other people over a topic, right? So it's less about you, more about them.
So okay, so like maybe a weekly or bi-weekly mastermind or something.
Maybe, maybe think about what they need. Your ideal client is a CEO, athlete, probably a dad, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't even have to relate so much to your coaching practice. It's just the positioning of it that Martine is hosting a conversation for men on how to balance being a weekend warrior with the demands of fatherhood.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if that's your topic, but it's not related to your coaching. So think of it, it's not the top of your funnel to people. You know, when you register for a webinar or you register for a workshop, you're giving your junk email because you already know that even if I want to go to that class, I'm going to get bombarded with emails from this person. It's not that. So I believe that Coach Conversations has been so successful for me because it's not about me. Last month was about visibility, and I bring my favorite visibility person there to provide value to the room. And nobody got a sales pitch from either one of us. We just had this awesome conversation, massive value. I got 4 messages when the email went out, like, oh my God, this was great. Are you going to do these emails like this all the time now? Yes, I am. And
Okay, so is what I'm sorry. Can I
no, it's
jump
okay.
in?
Go ahead.
So
Yeah.
it's what I was doing, but I did like this. I didn't do it like this. So what I
Mhm.
would do is I would have conversations, and there would be all these different topics that were serious. That There were topics that most men don't talk about,
Mhm.
and because we talk about sports and we talk about the other things, and once a lot of, once um often when a man starts talking to another man about something, they either start joking around or they kind of change the subject or something like that. But we don't stay in these conversations long enough. So I was doing a lot of that with my men's group. So I think the thing to do is just do that, just do that and keep doing it like every week, but keep going online and then grow, and just keep talking about the topics I talk about and keep
Yeah.
inviting men to come and jump in the conversation.
And I don't think it's something you have to do every week. Um, I typically say once a month is good for an attractor event, for a free attractor event. If you do it too much, if you do it every week, there's no reason for somebody to pay you eventually to be in the room with you. So a
Okay.
little bit of scarcity is good. And you set up a Zoom recurring event. It's the same day every month, third Wednesday every month at 4 o'clock. And when somebody registers for that event, they see that, oh, look, I'm registering for a reoccurring event, and they want to come to this one and this one and this one and this one, and it's already on their calendar ahead of time, which is key. And then
And
you're
you do
building
that
your
in
trust.
Zoom, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I need to learn how to do all that stuff. I don't do those things, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, the advantage of doing a recurring event, no matter what platform, is people get used to you being there at that time. That's it. 2.5 years, it was third Wednesday at 7 p.m. And when I decided not to work at night anymore, I moved it till 4. And I had to send out like 7 emails about the time change, because that threw everybody off. Like everybody was off about it. So picking a time that you can stick to for a good, decent amount of time.
Yeah, it's the thing that I'm talking about is that's not the problem because that always creates engagement, and I have so much to talk about, so much stuff that men want to talk about. So it was about finding a way to do it the way you're talking about right now.
Mm.
I could try these other ways of doing it. Now I think but I've been, maybe for lack of a better word, kind of control the who comes and all that. So kind of
Mm.
give up control of that and just say, hey, listen, I'll talk to you on outside of
Okay.
this for more
Okay.
help on that.
Yeah,
Thanks.
and I think one of the really cool things, here's the execution steps of bringing people into a room, and you can do this in person as well. So if you look through your phone and you find out that I have 12 or 15 people that are local to me, organize a lunch and invite those people. Now, Charlotte, this would be really interesting for you because you've been working on connecting with people in your area. Hey, I'm getting a group of people together for lunch and a little bit of networking. I'd really like to invite you because I'm inviting these other people and I think it's a good fit for you. Would you be interested in attending? Are you available on Wednesday the 14th at 12 o'clock at this, like have it all planned out and say, I'm doing this. I would like to invite you. And when someone says yes, please bring a guest that I don't know. Bring a stranger.
You and I chatted about that once. I looked up a handful of people that I thought would be good connections. Do you bring together people that know each other or don't know each other or some of both? Does it matter? Okay. Because like
I
one of the
try for
ladies,
people who don't know each other.
okay,
Um, and typically I will partner with my real estate agent who I'm really good friends with here locally.
okay,
I tell him to bring someone I don't know, and I bring someone he doesn't know.
okay,
And then we each invite someone else. So
okay.
there ends up being 6 or 8 of us there, and I only know 1 or 2 people.
Okay.
So it's like the conversation just flows. We all get connected. We all have lunch, and we do that once a quarter.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, the interesting part when you lead an event or even a one-on-one conversation with value, and you get to talk, you let them talk about their offer, and you get to talk about your offer. And it's called pitching here, but it's really not pitching. If you're just meeting somebody, you're going to lunch with 6 people that you've organized because you organize the lunch, Charlotte. You're the person with more authority in the room. It's just the way it is. And the interesting part is you get to facilitate the conversation at the table. You get to lead the way with, well, let's go around the table and introduce ourselves. 30 seconds, who you are, what you do, and who's your ideal client. Who can we introduce you to? And you facilitate that. It's the same as being in a breakout room. How many of you have gone to a breakout room and nobody says anything? Take the lead. Be the person who takes the lead. Okay, my last comment for today and your last prompt would be to help me, let me copy it. And I'll put it right here in the chat. Help me outline a sales event, webinar, masterclass that includes value-driven content and conversation, I would add to that, and a seamless transition into me pitching my premium offer. Now, I would take out the pitching to my premium offer, but leave it in there for the prompt so you get the sales pitch at the end. So at least you have an idea of, oh, I should be saying this about my offer at the end of this workshop. And a sales event means your ideal clients are in the room, nothing more than that. It does not mean the whole event is about sales. It means your ideal client is the audience. That's all. Now, you can also do LinkedIn audio events. Martine, this might be interesting for you, LinkedIn audio events, because you can run them right from your desk. And if someone, if you partner with a couple of other people to be on stage with you for a conversation, this is the perfect thing to collaborate with another coach or 2 or 4 on, and you all invite people to the conversation. And it's a way to build your list of people on LinkedIn from other people's people. So those conversations can be really fruitful as far as, you have to partner with other people on those. It's very difficult to get people to attend. So imagine if we were having this conversation, all of us. Now I've talked 90% of the time, which I'm going to shut up in just a minute. But if we all came together to talk about events or sales or discovery calls or meeting people, and we were all providing value on the stage, all of our profiles would attract more listeners. So that's when you partner with people. That's when you don't partner with people to do anything else other than attracting people to an event. Lindsay.
So I was actually going to ask about that. So I see a lot of people doing like summits and bigger events like that. Is that something that is useful? I mean, based on what you're saying, it kind of sounds similar, but it's not maybe long term. I don't know, it's a lot. I don't have time to spend a whole day at a summit, but so that's kind of where I'm wondering what the best way is for it.
They were decent about 10 years ago, not anymore. Mm-hmm. Most people that are putting on, like the leader of the summit, they're looking to build their list. and basically having you as a speaker on that summit, you're basically helping them build their list, and it might build yours. But anybody who signs up, I don't know if you've ever signed up for one of these with 20 speakers and you end up getting on 20 people's list because you're part of that summit. And I just don't, it never really worked for me.
Thanks.
Yeah. Unless it's somebody huge. I mean, if Russell Brunson's having a summit, that's going to work for your business, right? Hop on that. But, you know, somebody who's lesser known and looking to, no, it's not going to work.
So a summit versus what you were just saying to Martine, like what would you say the biggest difference between those two are? So let's say Martine and I were like, okay, let's do this. We're going to do a live on LinkedIn or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How does it differ from the two of those?
Well, a summit is something you partner with, 5, 10, 15 other people, and, it's a one-day thing or a video thing or whatever. What I'm talking about is like what I do, what you've been to of mine, where I'm inviting 100 people to come for a networking event, or I'm inviting 200 people to come to a networking event. Or you're having an event for your ideal client to have a conversation about their wellness goals or fitness or something that would interest your ideal client, but not for you to teach from the stage, to get more information and build relationships with your ideal client. I call it an attractor event. And if you plan it, sorry, my dog's going to bark at UPS. If you're going to plan that, it's always done from the frame of that it's for my ideal client and for me to learn more. Yes, are you going to sell yourself at the end? Yes, absolutely. But the real goal is to learn more about your ideal client. Wants, needs, desires, fears, hang-ups. What are they actually looking for? Oh, yeah. Jay said the LinkedIn audio is kind of pop-up, like a pop-up vibe. Hey, Lindsay and I just were talking the other day and we decided to hop on here and talk about how female entrepreneurs are sitting on their asses too much. Let's go. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now. What are your questions? And where would you like to wrap up this week? We covered a lot this week, and I know it's a lot asking you to upgrade your offers like this and start thinking about yourself this way. So happy to hash it out.
So I have a quick question. So to go from where I might have been to just like right out of the gate start talking about this, is there a smooth way, or do I literally just been like, this is me, like let's just go with it, or am I just bringing it in slowly versus who I, as I said, who I was versus who I am now? Like, is there a good way to transition, increasing pricing, talking about my offer that's so much better than before, or what would be the best strategy for that?
All right. Well, what type of person are you, Lindsay? Are you a dripper of change, or are you?
No, I'm
Okay.
definitely more of a here you go type of person.
Okay. Then follow that.
Okay.
Follow that. Pricing changes. You don't have to talk about that on social media. That's something you talk about right here when you're meeting with somebody. But if you're embracing new offers and a bigger, bolder presence, I say just jump into it. If that doesn't scare you, if you're not, intimidated to do that, then do it. Go for it.
Okay.
Remember, only 1% of your audience at any given time is seeing what you say anyway, so. All right, takeaways from this week then. Charlotte?
Well, I was just gonna say, I'm actually working out of town next week. Just anyway, so I'm gonna have some really focused time to go back through and digest. And so I know I'm gonna come back to you and ask for some suggestions about the pricing element. But again, it's just given me a little more confidence that I'm in the right playing field and that I'm in this area, that I'm okay asking for what you're suggesting.
Good.
It's just given me a little more confidence.
Good.
So,
Good. Hey, if you lived close to me, I'd go in on the first couple deals with you. And
thank you.
you're welcome. Chris, takeaways from this week.
Principal takeaways are, this use of AI as a thought partner in getting much more specific and refined in who my ideal client is, how I can speak to him or her about the problems that they're having, words and phrases to avoid saying, and where and how best to reach them. So, that's a lot. And all of which, as we talked about a little earlier today, that leads to a much higher degree of confidence in putting an offer out that is a significant investment for someone, but having much more confidence that the transformative results that the person is going to get will be well worth the investment they put into it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love some of the results that you had regarding your transformation. And I think when you have a thinking partner on the results of the transformation, Elsa, I've been through the PQ program, so I know what the results were for me. And having that chatter removed from my head of, you're not accomplishing enough, you're fat, you're old, you're ugly, da, 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 all day long. Da, da, da. Oh my God, it was never ending. And I remember the day that it stopped and the freedom that came after that. And if you make a post like your story you don't even have to ever had clients through that program. You just make a post about your version of that work on you. And then from there, if there's 5 people that comment on it, that's 5 people to invite to the conversation in a couple weeks. I'm bringing together a group of people to talk about this in a couple weeks. Would you like to come? What's your takeaway this week, Elsa?
Basically that I've done things way too hard for myself.
Mm.
And it really comes down to what we were talking about at the top of the hour today, that thing about that I'm very good at making sure that people know everything and then they know nothing. And it's like, I think, I know I'm an overthinker, so I really have to be very focused on saying, what are these 2-3 outcomes, and pound it to death. And I have to be okay with that language in my head, because it's really like my auto is like, enough of this, let's move on. We have to focus on the next thing, where I really have to stay in that lane and saying, that's what people know me for. Mm-hmm. So I think for me that has been like, even when I'm doing all this AI and I like, ooh, well, and then no, come back. Focus on these. Instead of giving me 20 possibilities, give me 3, and then I'll decide from 3, because I know I will think about all 20. Okay? So I think for me, that's really the big thing, is saying AI can help me. It can either be my total detriment, that I will dig a biggest hole as, the Grand Canyon for myself to get lost in, or I can really stay in that focused and saying, what are the 3 outcomes that I really want to see for people? And then decide what are those 3 outcomes that is really most important for my client.
You know, what I like about that so much is that what you're saying is your training, your certifications, the different tools that you use, the 20 different outcomes that people could have, they're in your toolbox, but they're not part of the marketing or the advertising. And coming to that overarching theme of what you do, if I had to pick one word for what I do, it would be confidence. If you have to pick one word about what you do and everything else falls underneath of that, what is that one word? And that can be the filter. So if I run everything through the confidence filter, well, then all the things in the toolbox, energy medicine, NLP, marketing, advertise, like all those are just tools that I use to get people to the confidence. That made me, I don't know, it felt like it made sense then when I figured that out. So if you can look at what you do with that, you know, pyramid idea, and that one word is at the top and everything else is underneath of that, that brings a lot of clarity to what you're doing.
Yeah, and I know I have to massage it a little bit, because as you were mentioning, there's 3 things that immediately come to my mind, right? It is exactly what you were talking about before, that basically the empty space in your mind so you can see, right? So it is the clarity piece, but also just not only the clarity, but knowing that I don't know, it's just that there's a clear road ahead, that you don't feel that block in front of you, that you feel able to move forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for that.
Did you read Michael Singer's book, Untethered Soul?
No, I've not read that one. Another one for my credits on.
Yes, please read it. Really impactful. Jason, give me your takeaway before you go. Takeaway from this week.
Similar with confidence, you know,
Cool.
the clarity, having all this stuff in one spot in front of you, in front of your face, you know, instead of these, you know, like all these ideas are around somewhere, you know, and having them all right in front of me now, that confidence is huge. And also a similar thing, just like focus, like just talk about the one thing, just get that over and over again. So yeah, this has been awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I love how visibility has bubbled to the surface for you in the last 3 or 4 months. And because that really is the overarching theme of everything that you do. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Martine, takeaway this week.
Oh, so much. Well, first off, it's been an honor to be with all you guys in the group. You know, everything that you've contributed. I think I just sent something in the chat to Elise. Like, thank you. Like, he just keeps, every time I have something that I'm up against, she's like, send an idea. And I love that. I just like, and I said, I love you. I love the kind of people you are, you know. And so thank you. And you always bring such amazing people together, Suzanne. And then, so thank you. Thank you. What an honor. What a great group. Excited to be a friend and a supporter of what you do. And I've learned so much. So I just referred you somebody on LinkedIn. Is that the best way? Just send them your website. Is that the best way to refer you? What's the best way to refer you? That's the question, I guess.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, me. I would say just a LinkedIn intro, me and the person, put us in a thread.
Cool, I'll do that. Okay, I'll do that
Or email.
later on.
Or email
Yeah.
is totally fine too.
Okay, cool. So that, and what's my takeaway? I was with Ingrid earlier, my girlfriend, and we went to breakfast, and I told her, I said, you know, I've got such great infrastructures in the different things I do. I got a book, I got a workshop, got a podcast, got all this infrastructure. I got a lot of people that follow me, a lot of people that call me. I have great clients and all that. And yet, and where I'm at right now is this resistance that I've been working through these last couple of weeks, and going through this week with you guys was I was able to get a lot of clarity on where I am, who I am, how I can recontextualize my position as an authority, as a human being, as a coach, as a trainer, all those kinds of things, and like really kind of being reminded of who it's for, who it's for. And for me, the biggest thing was I have been trying to validate myself and my own value. Like, and that's been a struggle. And not that I don't think I'm a good coach, I think I'm a really good coach. And I put myself up against anybody, because I know I can produce results, and I produce results. But that's been kind of an ego thing for me, but that was the only way I know how to do it. That's the way I know how to do it. And then listening to this, in being here with you guys, I saw, oh no, the value is in what they get out of it. And it's not that I haven't thought about that, but I was leaning, it may be like 70% over here, worried about myself, and 30% over there. When it comes to marketing, when it comes to putting it out. And so and I can't remember who said it. It might have been Elise, or it might have been Chris, or I think it was Lindsay that said it. And she was talking about something, and you said, no, it's about them. It's about them, and it's about what you're giving them. And I'm like, that's where the value of that's where you price yourself. And then I thought, and then the next day I went and met with somebody, and I said, okay, I'm going to double this price. I'm going to minimize this price. And then I started doing the math on how much I'm going to make. And it was like, it started to blow my mind. So thank you. Thank you for what I've gotten out of this week.
You're welcome.
Just great. Yeah.
I think if you just take that away from this time with me, is that it's not about you. None of this is about you. This is about the person that's hiring you and what they get, what they receive, their transformation. And I've worked with a lot of coaches, and I've paid a fortune for some, and I've paid very little for others. What you get out of it depends on what you pay for it. The person I paid $30,000 to, I got a lot out of it because I paid $30,000. The transformation that was in that program was exactly the same work as something I paid $3,000 or $4,000 for, and I didn't give a shit about it. So I paid for me to do the work, basically. And I think when we wrap our heads around that, truly, it becomes easier to charge more, because you know that your client is going to get more results because they've invested in themselves. They're not investing in you. And if somebody says they can't afford you and you know they have money, they don't believe they can do it. Has nothing to do with you. They don't believe they can do it. I know I'm demanding. I know I'm hard. I know you can't work with another coach while you're working with me, because it's going to be too hard for you to do that.
Yeah.
And
No, I hear what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying. And I agree with you. I agree with you 1,000%. My marketing, it was the marketing I was doing, in the idea of how I was sending that out, and how I was trying to keep it too much about me. That was the shift. I don't know if I made that real clear. That was the shift.
That's
awesome. In that context.
And how long has that been happening, the marketing shift?
What do you mean?
Like, how long have you been doing it different?
I've been been attempting for a long time. I've known you for quite some time, and I was attempting before that. So it's been an attempt, but it's always not felt right. That's the thing, is it didn't feel right. It like that's not it. Shit, that's not it. Damn it, that's not it. Like I get it out and I go, that's not it. That's not it. And what was missing was it was kind of like, look at me. It was kind of a look at me thing, you know. And so I was trying to blend, like, look at you and look at me at the same time, you know. That makes sense. So that's the shift. When it comes to coaching, it's all over there, like absolutely over there.
Yeah.
The marketing was the piece that I couldn't do. It was kind of like as like me, you know. It was kind of like that. So it was that shift. So that was a huge, like you said, like Lisa, thank you. She's like my little brain over here. Thank you. It's like, you know, it was a mindset shift, you know, and like my number one pillar is mindset. It's really ironic, you know, like, you know, we're so close to sometimes what we have that we don't even see the water we swim in, you know, like the fish.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Chris said something a couple times in the past couple weeks that I really think what I'm doing is for me. Yes. It's for you so that you can serve your clients more powerfully.
yeah. I gotta go. I love you.
Awesome.
Susan,
Love you
you're
too.
amazing. Suzanne, you're amazing. I love you. And all you guys, thank you very much for allowing me to be a part of your group this week. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome.
Have
Let
a
me know
great
if you have
evening.
any questions, and replays will be up with all your resources, and future members will get to watch you go through this.
Oh, goody.
Terrific.
Yay.
Thank you. Enjoy your quiet weekend. See, if it were me, I would have sent the dog with them. So,
Oh, no, not my baby without me. Where'd she go? She was laying right here, but oh no, that's the highlight of the weekend. Just the girls home.
enjoy.
Yes.